shit for the beach. True that, only one life to lead, a fast life and greed. Truly addicted, infested, since the sea we all die, breed. Lead like humans, towns run by young guns, outlaws and truants. Shit's deep, turn 18, roll my will when I go. Run my body with my shotty on, choosing my dough. So why you reminiscing all nights out with the crew? Smoke a blunt for me too, I staring through your rear view. You ain't know what we mean by staring through the rear view. So since you ain't know what we mean, let me bring you better understand. The world behind us. Once a motherfucker get an understanding of the game and what the levels and the rules of the game is, then the world ain't no trick no more. The world is a game to play. So now we looking at world from behind us. Niggas know we gotta do. We just gotta put our mind to what we do. It's all about the faith. It's money for the world. Bitches make the world go round. Real niggas do what they wanna do. Bitch niggas do what they do. Staring at the world, do what they sweet and die. You can't read. I can feel your heart beating fast. Guess it's time to die.
TK or DC, if you want to, if you can, one of you, if you can post in the EM, also in the Dragon's Lair Telegram group, tell them we're starting. If you will. Let's go brief, about 20 minutes. Here we go. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Masculinity. I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, IMC Nation Capitan, aka DJ Captain Chris. And I'm streaming to you from IMC Base 1. So you may be listening to the recording of this. And I was just thinking, just so you know, these are not for women. These are for men. So any women, if you get offended when you hear what's in this recording, it wasn't intended for you. If there's unique, I would say things uniquely differently for you. That's what Silent Flute is. So go to ninthlimb.com, number 9, THLIMB.com. That's my yoga mindset training. That's where I'll teach women. You can watch these, and you should know that there's many episodes I've recorded that I haven't uploaded, and I won't, because there are some things that you shouldn't hear. Just like there are things you would talk about with your girlfriends or girls, your mom, your sister, your niece, whatever, that you wouldn't want guys to hear. You wouldn't want your dad to hear. You wouldn't want your brother to hear. You wouldn't want your boyfriend to hear. It's not that they can't hear. It's that it's just inappropriate. Like it spoils something in how they see you a little bit. But that's fine. I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to be pushing. No, what are you talking about? Right? And so you shouldn't either. So if you're hearing this recording on the show, then it's past my approval that you can hear it, but you should know that it's not made for you. So you might hear some shit that you don't want to hear. And that's, so be prepared for butthurt. Butthurt warning, you might get butthurt. Okay. So streaming from IMC Base 1. And if this is your first time to the show, Enlightened Masculinity is a red pill show about masculinity, spirituality, mindset, definitely in the lineage of IMC Nation, AZD, the founder of IMC Nation. I live with him, and world-class, top of the world, #1 at what he does. And so a lot of what this comes from is applied Stoicism, applied Scientology, and it's not that I'm a Scientologist. It's funny how triggered people get over that word. So ignorant, but I get it because I was once that. I had some other thing that was a stronger willpower to learn what was the teachings, that I was willing to, it's called like forestall it or to table it. I tabled my judgment about Scientology until I learned more, because it didn't matter. It didn't seem that consequential to what I was learning. It was just thrown in every once in a while as a reference, like, and this I'm getting from L. Ron Hubbard or whatever. At some point I got the book, I started reading. It was very difficult. I had to start it over a bunch of times, as I do pretty much with all of L. Ron Hubbard's books. I have to keep like starting at the beginning because I'm getting lost in it. But it's really, really good. And so this is definitely an application of Scientology from what I've read about it. I've never been in the church or done that shit. But definitely Stoicism, just like I've never talked to a Stoic, I've studied the books. And my credential as a researcher is high level, kind of like this guy I was talking to today. One of our guys here that's on live right now on the Zoom stream referred a guy to me to get involved with the AZD IMC programs. and he made the introduction. I started messaging with the guy, and the guy was a hater. The guy was literally just a hater in disguise. You know, how I could send you the screenshots, brother, but there was just one sentence that set me off in the wrong direction, or in the aggressive direction. And then AZD started lecturing about, you know, be more compassionate, understand where people are coming from. And so maybe I would have done it differently, but he basically said he looked up AZD and it looks like a scam, which I felt. And I was like, where did you read that? Because he said, I read somewhere that I read some reviews and it was a scam or something like that. And I said, where'd you read that? And he wouldn't give it up. He was like, I do my own research, or, you know, I found it somewhere. I forget what he said exactly, but basically not giving it up. So then I said, okay, well, don't bring me that bullshit anymore. Look up his YouTube, you'll look up his Instagram. And, you know, if you bring that bullshit to me again, then we're done here. And then, you know, he went south. So just, you know, he ended up blocking me, whatever. Most of the time I try to get them to block me. Lately, Instagram will censor you. They can complain about your language. And if you use any cuss words or whatever, you'll end up getting censored on Instagram. So I have been blocking more people lately before I, you know, get too aggressive with them. Maybe you don't have to do that, whoever you is, the listener. But one day when your business is being pulled off of social media, there is that game you play. You know, I can post what I want and say what I want. And maybe in the beginning, you'll have haters that will report you, and the social media powers that be will block you or whatever. You will eventually clean out your social media, but then there'll always be that new prospect, that new lead that you're talking to, and you call him a fucking bitch, or you call him a faggot, and then he complains, and then Instagram censors you, and that will hurt business a little bit. So before you get to that point, you know, maybe just block him. Okay. So there was a second topic I wanted to talk about, actually, because of one of the guests that's on the show right now, but I labeled this friends outside of IMC Nation. Tammy, what's up? How we know each other? I don't even know if I know you. How do you know me? Friends outside of IMC Nation. First, let's just look at the word friend. When I say to myself, friend, and I let the images come up that are related to friend, and I see what those images mean to me, I see a few things. I see definitely sharing of the good times. That's like the first thing I see. It's like, yeah, you know, just a common enjoyment of common activities or each other's activities. There's just something about like having a good time with each other. And I think that's what a lot of people, that's where their definition kind of ends when it comes to friend. And a lot of people, I think that activity is drinking, or it's usually drinking. It's drinking in something, drinking and playing pool, drinking and bar hopping, drinking and going to a football game, drinking and watching a football game, like drinking and barbecuing. It's just, that's what it is. They're just drinking buddies is what they are. Nobody's like philosophy buddies. That's very rare. So, but that value of that. Then I also see, when I say to myself, friend, I see a kind of a backup when conflict happens. Now, remember, this is not for women. I haven't looked at it for you. And this is not, maybe you agree with some of these, but I would rather you look at this and say, I agree that for a man, that makes sense, because that's what I'm talking about. So I see someone who's got my back and I got their back. I see battle going down. I see fight going down. I see protection of territory going down, even if that's like just your personal space when you're out, or your home territory, your home, your block, your neighborhood, whatever, your academy, your business, whatever your territory is. I see like a backup happening there. And then when I think to myself, so how many men do you know that really got your back when it comes to that? Like Sultan was lecturing about the other day, like there is such a thing, like somebody who's just conflict ready, or he's ready to beat people up. Like he just wants to beat people up, which, okay, that's a quality. I won't say it's probably more bad than good. But what I'm concerned with as a friend, if you were going to be my friend, is you got my back when I need your back. And you're also, I wouldn't want you starting conflict, because I don't want to get involved in, I got your back too. But if you're starting unnecessary conflicts, then I'm like obligated to back you up in that, like maybe the first time, and then I correct you after I got your back. And, you know, it affects my reputation also if it's a senseless conflict. But I care much less about the opinions of people outside of my friends than the people inside my friends. So I'd rather keep your friendship and lose them a little bit by backing you up. But then in private, I got to tell you, like, you can't be starting senseless conflicts because I don't got your back next time when you do that shit. Now, you know, I got your back this time because maybe you didn't know, but and then so they need to correct. So how many guys do you know that actually got your back and that can do that communication where you have similar values? That's what being part of a tribe and being a philosopher, you know, having philosopher friends, which may sound weak as if it's a bunch of like skinny ascetic men, ascetic meaning like they don't eat a lot, they don't exercise, they're just like thin and frail, and they withdraw their senses from sense objects and pleasures. That's what an ascetic is. And no, you know, philosopher, someone who can sit here in front of a camera and talk about lifestyle, talk about their life, talk about their theoretical concepts about a subject, and it makes sense. And a good philosopher would be, it makes sense. And then because it has to make sense as a basic philosopher. Like if it doesn't make sense, you're not even a philosopher. You're just a nincompoop. But if it makes sense, you're a philosopher. It starts to make more sense. If it's a better philosophy, then it should improve your life. It should help you out in situations. What is being philosophized about should add value to you if you were to adopt it. That would make a good philosophy or good philosophers. And when you have alliances and friendships with good philosophers, I mean, this is going to be something, you know, you have each other's back. There's some philosophy of gang. There's some philosophy of tribe. It's genetic. Like if I was on the same sports teams as guys, I don't know that we'd ever need to talk about, hey, if you get in a fight, I got your back. And if I get in a fight, you got my back. Like maybe we do say that at some point, but I'll bet most sports teams don't have to talk about that. If one of them started getting in a fight, all of them would have his back. They would just jump in. It's like a genetic quality. Your friend, a lot of us would do that just if we saw some random getting picked on. But I think at a higher level of awareness, we see two guys fighting and, you know, and that's it. Like, I'm just going to let them fight. Like it's not even my interest. I don't want to get involved with that. If I don't know the guys, if I see two guys fighting one guy, I still might just turn and walk away. Like, because no, Iho K Stilo on Instagram, what do you view? You want to request to be in my live video? No, I don't even know who you are. Who are you? Jesus. Okay. So if I saw 10 guys jumping one guy, I still wouldn't get involved. I might call like the police or something, or I might look, it depends. That is very contextual. If I see like abuse happening like that, especially in my neighborhood or someone else's neighborhood, you see, but any neighborhood, anywhere on the world, on the planet, if it's my guy, I got his back. I'm not walking away. So that's a big liability to myself. So I need to make sure I have some standards for friends. And people, they don't have standards for friends, and that's because they don't have each other's backs. So it's a very low risk to be friends with that person because they don't got your back and you're not going to get their back. So it's really centered around like the good times, having good times with each other. Okay, another quality when I think friend, I see making money together. I think that really strengthens a friendship, and it's a component of friendship. And I think that the people that I do business with, the longer we do business with each other, the more of a friend we are. There's a respect. The longer we do it, there's obviously some respect. There's obviously some trust in at least some components of the business. Like you're going to be trustworthy on this or that. You're going to deliver the product. It's going to be on time or something that is trustworthy. That would make that a friend. But it's a component of friendship. So that person might not have my back in life. And that person I might not get along with outside of business. So how good of friends are we? But just like my friends that I get along with, we can't do business with each other. We're always, listen, a lot of people are in the position where they have like a job. And if you have 5 guys and they all have jobs, and they're probably not the same jobs. So they're off all of their life, you know, of their day, of their week. They're out doing their job. And when they do get together as friends, then it's like, maybe they're not able to make money with each other because they're doing their jobs. And that is the boundary of how much of a friendship they can experience with each other. And it's difficult. It's difficult to do business with friends. It's easier to do business with people that you're not friends with. At some point, you're going to try to become friends with your business, people you do business with, because that is such a good component, a powerful component. It's so there's so much trust in that. There's so much alignment of philosophy, of one's will to survive and urge to survive, what they're going to do to survive. So look at your friends, business. They got your back. You got their back. You can actually have good times with each other. And maybe not in every environment. I'm sure a lot of my friends, if you went to a yoga class with me, you'd hate it. And you wouldn't want to be my friend in that yoga studio. It'd be all difficult and you'd be trembling and whatever. So it's not that every activity we get along with, but we have our activities that we know that we get along with. And in my tribe, that's a lot to do with socializing. Going out, as they say. I don't even like that phrase. But getting out of the house. Like around here, it's as simple as car rides. It's as simple as different activities, going to the boxing gym, going to the weightlifting gym, going to grab lunch, could be fast food, going to the fucking mall. Or, of course, those social venues like we're going to this bar or this restaurant or this lounge or Vegas. So what those activities is really important. In us, in our tribe, IMC Nation, we are social philosophers. So it's kind of like wherever we go, there's going to be that social experience happening. And there's a reason why we are, Donna Roma enters the room. There's a reason why our philosophy has so much as a central theme or central focus, the social experience, because that undercuts everything. That's the undercurrent to everything that you're doing. As a man, your job, your friendships, what you do in your activities of your day, you don't know because you're displaced from the jungle. You're not in the jungle. You're not in the wilderness. You're not on the prairie or the grasslands or wherever your genetics are from. You're not out there trying to survive so much like that. You're displaced and you're put in this four-walled world with a ceiling, climate control, clothing, and a bunch of indoctrinated education that has you thinking about all these ideas that aren't related to your survival in the jungle. Your whole head and experience is filled with that stuff. Is it any wonder that men have forgotten what it is to be a man? Jesus. And they model it off after people, and there's this genetic impulse in us to be a way, and we've learned to deny it and not listen to it. And it comes out in weird ways. And sometimes in good ways too. We have and so our philosophy, our social philosophy is aligning us. The IMC philosophy is aligning us with our nature in the culture. And it's an evolving science. So it's not like a set of rules like the 10 Commandments that don't change. It's applied philosophy, applied lifestyle philosophy with certain backbone, Stoicism, Scientology, and the other subjects that we go over in the Dragon's Lair, surrender experiment and some other things. Transcendental meditation. I've talked about on the enlightened masculinity. So enlightened masculinity people, guys, listening to this, if you're not on Dragon's Lair, you're fucking up. You're failing. You are failing in life if you haven't been on Dragon's Lair. It's just a fact. Because what are you doing with your time when you're not at work and you're not sleeping and you're not eating and you're not fucking, and if you are fucking, like, what are you doing with your free time? You're watching videos? Are you hanging out with anybody? Do you have guy friends? Let's talk about friends. They got your back. You got their back, and they can actually get your back. Like, they're not in a wheelchair. Like, and it's not that you can't have that kind of friend. He would have to find his value so that he could get your back in something. Let the disabled person be a computer hacker. Let him be such a great public speaker that he's connected with powerful people so he can have your back in different ways. Not everybody's going to have my back and they're going to be able to punch and kick somebody. They might have my back. Like Will Rios isn't necessarily, he can fight, but he's a little guy compared to guys but he's a lawyer. So that's nice. That's a great backup. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways to have your friends back, and, and then that's what your offer is on the table. Doing business with each other. Here's another one. It's related to all three. I've already mentioned it because it undercuts everything. And it's how you treat women. How you treat women around you. It's similar to having a good time. But, you know, me and my friends that I live with, I mean, arguably my best friends I live with. If I never really looked at it because I just haven't. Looking at it now, you should understand, like Jordan Amari, Master Myself there, he's going to learn this if you hadn't already. And although many of you are mature in various ways, in many ways, I think this one thing you're going to discover / rediscover, because you've already known it, you've already been told it. When you base up, you're going to rediscover this thing. And that is that I don't know how to distill this into like a clever sentence, so I'm just going to describe it. As you get closer to your friends, you start having conflict with them. It's like you start seeing things about them, how they open their mouth when they chew, how they, I don't know, leave the shower curtain wrinkled up so it molds if you don't, you know, stretch it out if it's so wet. Little fucking things. How they leave their socks out in the living room. You're going to start having conflicts with these guys that are your best friends, but you're living with each other now. And so you'll start to think of other guys as your best friends. This is what happens with you and the girl too. You get so close to each other and all of a sudden another girl seems better. You get so close to each other and to her, all of a sudden other guys seem better in different ways. She wouldn't say that, but internally she's feeling and experience. She's thinking about other guys because she's gotten so close to you. She's seeing some negative habits. That's why, you know, part of our philosophy is, you know, be on point when you're around her. You should be peaking in your experience. And that's the same for her. That's why it's like, yes, always have your makeup on, always be looking bomb. Whatever that is for you, be looking bomb when you come around me, as if it's the most important meeting of your week. And I'll treat you the same. And so in our mind, we come across each other for 2 hours, every 160 hours or whatever, however often you're around her. And I'm having this repeated image put in my head of you beautiful, you elegant, you on your best behavior. I don't ever see that other shit. I don't ever smell you after the bathroom. I don't ever taste you early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever deal with, I mean, to a large extent, I don't ever deal with you coming home from work all stressed out and complaining about somebody. Like, maybe you do bring me some complaints sometimes, of course. And then, you know, sometimes I handle it. Sometimes I tell you, shut the fuck up with your complaints. Figure it out. I've taught you how to handle that shit. Don't just go surrender, go exercise it off, meditate, see where you miscommunicated, then bring me a question. Don't bring me a complaint. And so we end up seeing the best of each other. We end up only ever thinking of each other in the best of each other. We only perceive each other as the best of each other. So we have the best relationship. We see each other as ideal as we could, and we keep upgrading ourselves and presenting our best versions of ourselves each time, or we try to. It's not like we don't go through highs and lows, and we have a schedule. So even if I'm having a bad day on my schedule, then that's what it is. But, you know, for example, like, I like the incense. I take a shower before. I make sure I'm clean shaven. Like, if it's late at night that we're hanging out, I'll shave again if you're important. Sometimes I don't. It's not like, so I say that now, and sometimes I don't. I just don't have the time. But like, I'm thinking like these little efforts. Maybe I don't get them all in every time. You know, okay, so that's a little aside. Somehow I'm getting like off track because I was talking about friends, how you treat women, because it's this different thing. Like so I was talking about best friends because I was thinking like maybe sometimes I wouldn't think of Sultan or Fernando as my best friends. They're 10 years younger than me, or 10 years younger than me, and you know, we've had our conflicts or whatever. Maybe there's some other guys in the camps that I get along with so well. And really, as I think about it, I'm like, who do I get along with so well in the camps? Let me think about this. Who do I get along with in my camps? I'm trying to think about this. A lot of it is really the younger guys I get along with so well, like Shamir. It's, you know, who I get along with the most are the guys that hella look up to me. Maybe it's like an ego complex or something. Like Master Myself and I get along, but he has like so much respect for me in my position or whatever. I'm sure everybody feels that way about Master Myself because he's just a really respectful guy. And you know, who else? Geez, I mean, I am friends with like everybody, although a lot of guys are surprised to see and experience what I'm like in person because they've only, you know, I just said about like you see the best of each other in your girlfriend, and she sees the best of you, and so you always see the best of each other. And that's how you know each other. You don't know each other's ugly version. You know each other's beautiful versions. So it's like a lot of guys, they only know my sales version. They only know me and me selling them. And they don't realize how I am in person. They only get that ever. That's all they get, unless they show up to podcasts, which probably a lot of them, they're busy. A lot of them, they don't want to because they only know my sales version. Like, I don't want to show up to that. Like, why would I want to show up to that? And so that's their own ignorance, because I'm the captain. I'm the closest to AZD, and that's why you should show up. So, I think my staff members, that's the other people that I feel so close to. And that's different than, like, I don't know that it's their respect for me. I think we're doing business together. I'm dedicating my time that I could be making other money. Every now and then I throw them money as I'm getting my business better. I'll pay them more. So in a way, they become kind of like employees, but I also earn money off of them as I do everybody that signs up for camps. So it's like there is this exchange, and it's like, I think that's why I feel so much camaraderie. In addition to, we'd probably get along when we're out. And we have this other thing that we have a lot of agreement about how we deal with women. Even if we have disagreement, we are so much closer than you and any other man. They are just so ignorant about that shit. Like, I was just talking with this guy, the bar owner at this place that we go to a lot where I get my side of chicken and guacamole and whatever. And, he's talking to me about he's married and, but he has these girls on the side, and he was talking about his game, and he had a decent game. And like, for not knowing game, like, that was pretty good. And, meaning knowing game, like he never studied game or whatever. That was pretty natural. He had some natural, what he was saying. He also had some fucked up things. Like, he was telling the new girls that he's getting with, like, I can only see you like 1 day or 2 days, I'm married and this and that. But he won't tell his wife that he's seeing another girl. So he tells the other girl that he has a wife, but he won't tell his wife that he has another girl. And there's kids involved, and he doesn't want. I can see why she's got leverage over you, dude. You made a mistake getting married. I get it. But he knows AZD, and I'm talking to a little bit about AZD's game. And when I'm about to go, he's like, take a shot with me. I was like, oh, dude, I got to go. So right before the sales team meeting, I had this massive tequila shot. It must have been a double shot. And then I ride my bike home, and my body's all sore and whatever. And he wanted to go out in downtown San Jose. He's like, I know a bunch of bar owners down there. Like, let's go out this Friday. Oh, I have a jiu-jitsu tournament. Okay, next week. And I was like, yeah, man, you got my number. So maybe we'll end up going out with him. AZD doesn't like going downtown, but one night, if AZD's not going, then we'll go with him. And that'll be great because he knows people down there. And so instead of just us roaming around trying to make something of ourselves, we can kind of get connected. Okay. AZD says he's catching up on sleep. So it could be tonight, feasibly, actually. I should text that guy, see if he wants to go. Okay. Honestly, I'd rather do business. I feel like I want to catch up on business. Every day I have this list of business, and I never get through the whole list. And I'm like, man, I just want to dedicate a night to business. There's so much, so many YouTubes to be released, so many episodes to be uploaded, so much. There's so much to do. Oh man, business planning. I love that shit. It's just, there's everything I do. I love. I love all the stuff in my life. So it's all in competition with itself. All right, let's continue. Let's wrap this up here. Friends and guys, if you have any comments or you got something to say, you can just raise a hand or comment that you got something to say. I mean, you can totally participate with this. So how you treat, so I was talking about best friends, and it's like, so I might not think of that, but it's like, man, I do the most. And as I'm doing more business with Fernando and Sultan, I see more of that coming out. We obviously agree so much with women. We can get along better and better when we're out. The reason why we moved in together was our dedication and loyalty to the system. That was what qualified everybody. It wasn't that we get along when we go out. That wasn't a qualification. So we've learned to enjoy each other when we're out, because that wasn't what got us, here. Versus, let's say, Base Phoenix, those guys probably get along really well. What qualified them is their dedication, but then they selected each other based on, who's ready, willing, and I want to live with them, and I want to get along with them, or whatever. Right? Am I right? Something like that, more or less. And probably all the bases were like that. Those maybe base 2 not, because again, it was who's going to be closest to AZD. The base 4, base 3, and base 5. He says yes. They chose their friends to live with more. That's going to have a different set of complications. So maybe you get along better in the beginning when you go out, like unlike me, Sultana Fernandez. It's not that we didn't get along. It's just we didn't know each other's game. I could tell you funny story after funny story about like awkwardnesses. I'm 10 years older. So some things, and you know what? I had so much appreciation for AZD because I'm like, he's 10 years older than me. He's 9 years older than me. So I'm like, these things that I'm perceiving in these guys, I'm sure AZD perceives in me. And bless his heart, you know, he must be frustrated sometimes when I DLV inadvertently because my game is that much lower than his. At least it was 2 years ago. Now it's maybe closer. I don't know, because he's ascending too. So we're all ascending. We compare each other to each other, and it's like we don't even think we're growing. I don't even think I'm growing because I'm next to AZD all the time, and he keeps growing. But to the outside world, I'm like growing. So a connection of mindset over personality. Yeah, World of Neil from New Zealand. Get the fuck on Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair. Jesus. Neil Kerr. Everybody knows him. There's accountability. Everybody knows Neil Kerr. He's been around forever. Let's go. Sell some blood. Get on the program. $97.
Plasma.
Huh?
Sell some plasma.
Sell some plasma. Semen. Blood. Organs. I don't care. Friend going, so there'll be a different set of conflicts, different frictions that would happen if you move in with your friends. For example, let's say, so we were the most dedicated and committed, and so business wise we were actually very related on that. So there was that component of our friendship that, you know, was there. Our philosophy with women, you know, so you'll see if you move in with your friends and guys you get along with, the philosophy with women might not be the same. And depending, that's a lot of that's going to be in the dedication and loyalty to IMC. That's where your commonalities in the philosophy will be. And especially if you're so dedicated, like I was telling the sales team the other day, today, earlier, I don't know why I said the other day. I was like, our goal, because I'm talking to these guys about getting new guys signed up for Dragons Lair. I'm telling them about the outreach, how to find a bunch of people that are related to the stuff that you could sell. I told them how to get 30 or 40 new guys in their communication lines, in their threads, their recent threads. They could get 30 or 40 new guys that they could be talking to about getting in Dragons Lair right away if they did this. And if everybody on my sales team did that, that's like 300 new guys we're talking to. They should do that. And I was saying, our goal when we pull them in is to get them so entangled and enmeshed in IMC Nation. I want to get you on the Telegram group. I want you following AZD's Instagram. I want you watching the YouTube, subscribing to it. I want you on my newsletter and getting emails. I want you showing up to free Zoom classes. Then I want you on Dragons Lair. Now you're hella enmeshed and whatever. And eventually I want you communicating with other guys in IMC Nation, whoever's closest to you or whoever you resonate with. I want you joining other guys in Zoom streams so that you get to know them, and maybe they'll call on you and be like, hey, you, what's up with you? Where are you from? And I want you getting your communication lines entangled. So now you have this contrast. You have your IMC comm lines and you have everyone else, and you'll start to see difference like I did. I had my IMC comm lines. I had my yoga studio comm lines and yoga business comm lines. Like I was telling you, Lone Wolf, the whole history of my prospecting. And, you know, I am outside of IMC Nation Captain right here. IMC Nation Captain, see the t-shirt, IMC Nation Captain. Outside of being captain of IMC Nation, my most proud achievement over PhD, over wrestling, you know, All-American state championship, most pins on the OU wrestling team. And I have other accomplishments. My most proud accomplishment is my yoga business, because I did something I don't believe anybody on the planet had ever done before. Cold calling and making a travel yoga. That was my whole business, was travel yoga, just traveling to teach yoga seminars. And I wasn't even famous. I don't think anybody did traveling yoga seminars like consistently like that. There are some people that are older, bigger, famous, that have like a center somewhere as a yoga studio or yoga center, maybe multiple centers. And they maybe get called up for a little tour and they go for like 2 or 3 locations, or, you know, they may have bigger travels, like they go to Bali or India or something and have a retreat there. So they're on a different level. But as far as somebody just on a continuous rock star tour for 3 years teaching. And then on top of that, doing that through cold calling, not being famous oneself. So basically through communication, convincing the yoga industry to hire me without knowing me. I mean, it was just unheard of. So I think there's a lot to learn from that. And that's why I had this business position. I was in this business position with AZD before I was captain, before I was ranked up to tribal leader, before I was captain. That was before there were even lieutenants. But before that, I didn't have a rank. I was just a guy that was working with AZD because I had built my business. I showed that I had my shit together when it came to the business mindset, the prospecting, and all that stuff. Outside of working with him, I was already a success in that way, and a big success, I think. So, friend, this thing with women, this thing with having a good time with each other. So, my best friends that I live with, we have a good time even when there are no women. So that's why I separate those two things, because add women to the mix and it's this different code of conduct. And it's not always for every woman. Some women are passed around. Some women are rejected over here and accepted over there. It's okay. It depends on how rude she was when she was rejected. Maybe it was just rejected because, I didn't like how you communicated with me, but it's not like you're rejected because you were so rude and nauseating in how you communicated. So friends outside of IMC Nation end up not really existing much. Oh, I was saying about different comm lines. So I had my IMC comm lines, I had my yoga business comm lines, and then I had my quote friend comm lines, everybody else basically. And some family comm lines too, which you don't really ever give up unless they really do some unethical shit. And even then, you probably fucking still keep it more or less open. So this contrast, you really start to see it when you have IMC comm lines. It's like, man, I prefer talking with them about this shit than even the yoga world about my yoga shit. And definitely my friends, I keep trying to get them involved in IMC because it's so good. I like it so much. I'm like, come on. And pretty soon you're like, man, these tire kicking, heel dragging motherfuckers, they're looky-loos at best. Some of them just don't even feign interest. They don't even pretend they're interested. But then some of them do, and then they go nowhere with it. And you're like, what the fuck, dude? Shit. Okay, you end up dropping them off. You drop out, cut them off. Just like with the yoga studios. I didn't really cut them off. I just stopped talking with them because I didn't need to anymore. I've selected. And so as you bring someone into IMC and they're showing up to Zoom streams, they're getting in communication with IMC people, then they have this contrast of now I have my IMC comm lines. And that's always so good feeling. We're always talking up and up. We always got something exciting to say, something, we have this way of talking about life, business, relationships, women and social dynamics that's uplifting. It's like encouraging, inspiring. It's like, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I'm going to get good at. I'm going to get good at the things that I do. If I'm a painter, I'm a martial artist, I'm a tattoo artist, I'm a DJ. Like, we're going to get better at that shit. But I want to get better at this social game. And now with IMC philosophy, we see so clearly that at the highest levels, if you really want to break through the barriers of even the top players on the planet, and you want to start off with a foundation to do that, not just get to the limit and then learn this thing, but start off with this thing, then you'll learn that the social dynamics game is a tribal game. Part of a tribe. You will get more women, better relationships, better connections. You'll have more influence and power with a tribe than without. If you get along. If you have a tribe that you don't get along with, then you'll be internally conflicting and bullshitting and whatever. And so that's why guys, they've learned to go get girls on their own because they don't agree with their friends about how to do with girls, and their guy friends will step on their toes or undercut them or cut their heads off or be weird around a girl or creepy or this or that, and vice versa. Even you got to learn this game on an individual level and in the group level. That's really going to get you the best long-term results. And so that's I think we're all here. We want to learn that and get better at that. There's a whole genetically written code of being that's not crystallized, although it is because DNA is a crystal, but it's like it's so contextual. There's so many, all the contexts imaginable are written in the DNA. We're only seeing a few of them expressed in the context of our lives, the context that we find ourselves in. Put yourself in a different context. There's still a genetic code for that context. You just maybe haven't experienced it. So there's the tribal game behavior of the Vegas nightclub, of the coffee shop, of the church, of Tinder. There's still genetic ways that she is influenced and that you can be part of a tribe in that will make sense in that context that'll get you to grow. So fascinating. So, friend. So let's see. Is there anything else to say on that? So friends outside of IMC Nation, man. So, I'm about to wrap up this technique and tie a bow on it. So, or technique, this teaching or whatever the fuck this is, this episode. Friends outside of IMC Nation, the Ocean Surge, what's up? Do we know each other? Friends outside of IMC Nation end up just not existing for me. I got so enmeshed that I had this contrast between my IMC comm lines and all the other comm lines. And I was like, man, I like this one more. I remember those days 3.5 years ago. And because I prospected yoga studios and I prospected IMC guys. Like I told the guys, I started with 50 emails because I gave a free ebook away, posted it on Facebook or whatever, and people would put in their email to get the free ebook. So a few months later, I started doing business with Arash, and I was like, oh, I have these emails. So I started emailing people, and then I found a bunch of new people. So I started going through a bunch of people and just like messaging them and whatever, and accumulating IMC related people that were interested in AZD and IMC. It was all scattered across all the social media platforms, and it wasn't integrated anywhere. That's what I did. And you can too also. And so when I had these kind of consistent IMC comm lines, like at some point I reached out to Tony K. He wasn't in IMC comm lines. I communicated with him. I don't know who's the first to reach out to Tat Addicts. I don't know who's the first to reach out to Lone Wolf. I know he was around. I know Mr. Damari was around, but was anybody communicating with Mr. Damari before I did the outreach? I don't know who among you reached out to me. Lonely old me. K-Power, what's up? What's up with it, B? What's up? So I did that, and we ended up getting into comm, and we had this comm line. And man, how much more I would look forward to Mr. Damari than fucking Yo Gaia Yoga Studio. You know what I mean? Like, so much more enjoyable Luri Palayo than fucking what's a fuck? Like I don't even know, some private client or whatever. Because we're friends. We're more friends than this person. I'm building a life with friends. So pretty soon the person gets so entangled in, and I was telling the sales team this, I was like, if I left IMC, who am I going to talk to? I burned all the bridges. I'd have my family. Who am I going to contact? Some old buddy, pal, some old wrestling comrade, from university, from some yoga client. Like, man, I have to start over. I've completely entangled my comm lines with IMC. And that's my goal for every person that we pull in from the beginning. We find them, we message them, we get them on Dragons there, we get them entangled. Telegram, get in on everybody's Zoom streams, get some comm lines with IMC guys, come around, get into a base. So now your comm lines every day are so much. Like I was scrolling through my messages with Sultan or something because I was like trying to find something. I forget what I was looking for. And goddamn, dude, we messaged so much. Like it took me like 10 scroll, like, you know, where you scroll and then it has to load and then scroll and then it has to load more. Did like 10 of those loads before I got to a message like 40 days ago. It's like, shit, dude, how much texting? Imagine I have that with like 100 guys. Not to that extent. Well, okay, to some extent I have that with like 250 guys probably. Okay, I'm about to have to wrap this up. So, what was my point? Just getting entangled with that, and that's the strategy. and pull everybody in so that they have that contrast and they start appreciating IMC more. They get into a base. You have so much communication with people in the base. And it's like, man, communication outside of IMC is just so different. I don't even want it. I want more of this. And you get so enmeshed in it that it becomes your life. That's all I've done. It's just get more and more involved in it, take more and more responsibility. That's what Oracle was saying the other day on our officers meeting. He was like, man, I really see how you just take on more responsibility. That's what I did with the TikTok group. That's what I did with the sales team group. It's what I did with the staff, the IMC and staff group. It used to be called the apprentices. That's what I did with the camps. I just took on the responsibility to do that. I wasn't told to do this, guys. I have chosen to do it every step of the way. Maybe some suggestions, maybe I ask a question and he feeds me like some advice and I go on that way, but it's me doing it and you can too. And, so guys outside of IMC, I just know how frail and superficial and flimsy that quote friendship is. And if you want to be my friend, then you're going to get involved because that's just it's not just how important the movement is. It's how valuable and worthwhile it is. It's so worthwhile. It's not just that I'm selling a gimmick and I think you should be involved and I only work with people in my gimmick. It's that if you don't know this gimmick, then you're less. And maybe that's a risk. Maybe that's not a kind thing to say. And if I was to understand your point of view, maybe that's just like, whoa, that's so out of your world. It just sounds hostile. So maybe I should find some different words. But dude, that's what I'm saying. Come to a free Zoom class so you can experience it. And it's not just me telling you it's the greatest thing in the world. I can explain it till I'm blue in the face and you'll find that your friends, they'll hear you out a little bit or more than a little bit. They'll find it somewhat interesting, but they're looky-loos. Got to get them on a free Zoom class. I mean, that's the next step. All right. So I can keep going and going and going. I really like it. There was a lot of people on Instagram. So appreciate you guys. Next time, guys. I mean, I see a bunch of you are guys. Like, get on the Telegram group. Go to my bio right now and join the Telegram group. Guys that were on the Zoom stream, I always appreciate your live attendance. And here's Tony K comments. All I did was like AZD's post. Then some dude named Yogi Chris messaged me. And I used to be called Yoga Bliss Chris. So you got a message from Yoga Bliss Chris. Messaged me and my life was changed forever. Nice. That's beautiful. Michael Green. Chris, my first time meeting your energy and excitement about learning from was unforgettable. I want to hear that story. We got to go. If you got 1 minute, let's hear that story. I don't know if you could talk. Michael Green is, hella dedicated. He's on this call from the hospital, getting healed up and strengthened. So if you could unmute and tell us about that first experience in 30 seconds.
Yeah. I just remember being in Hollywood and they used to call it surgeon back in the day or sergeant or whatever we were doing.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, that night. And man, that's what I can remember. It's just your energy and excitement about learning from AZD and studying with AZD. And he was telling me about how you were going to college in Tallahassee. I can still remember that. This nurse.
Yeah, it was Gainesville, but yeah, Florida.
Yeah, this nurse is doing my IV right now.
For sure.
But, yeah, you feel me? But no,
man, Mr. Neil Care, sorry, it's ruining the audio. Please, I'm gonna lower the volume.
I still say, like, I thought I didn't really trust the game. Like, I didn't really trust P-Way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I was more into following Eric in Hypnotica. And he would call him Pua, stuff like that. So
yeah.
I was more into like
nice.
Natural thing, like how he was talking about with the guy. He had the side chicks and like. But I wasn't gonna do it like that. I was gonna do it like more like how Eric was talking about. But then,
shout out,
man, something shifted. Like something really shifted when I went to that event that night, and I listened to AZD up on that stage. He commanded that shit, man. He owned that motherfucker.
Oh, sure. I was there. Yeah, I remember that. Man.
And then listening to you on top of that, like, it was like, okay, I could never forget it. You know what I mean? And that's what brought me back. Really, that's what brought me back, because I was thinking about what's up with Chris, man? What's up with, you know what I mean? Like, what's up with these guys? I mean, it was years later, like 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I just all of a sudden just
Hey,
Let me see what's up. Let me look on YouTube or something. See if I can find Chris
oh,
or AZD
nice.
for real.
For real. Appreciate
Yeah,
you,
I
Michael
was
Green.
wondering how you was doing, bro.
Yeah, man. And
'Cause
now
I
you know.
was
Now
like,
you're
I was
close.
going
Now
through
he
some
knows
shit
you.
myself. With my girlfriend, I thought we was gonna be over with.
Well, oh man, I want to keep talking, but we got 3 minutes until the advanced class, so I got to sign off and get that set up. So I'll make sure next time I do podcast, I have more. I'll open it up for more dialogue so that we can talk.
And
more
then you gotta understand, it's my bad. I got people putting IVs in me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
Sitting up
what I'm
here.
saying. Dedication, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, dude. Get
But
strong,
yeah,
man.
I appreciate you though, Cap.
For sure. I appreciate you too, man.
For sure.
Positive thoughts and positive vibes and strengthening vibes to you. And I'll see you guys. Advanced camp starts now.